the motorcade carrying the body of a young Marine killed in Afghanistan slowly leaves his church to go to his final resting place. His family and friends follow the hearse down the street of his hometown. Only a few hundred yards from the funeral, they are greeted by chanting picketers who wave signs stating, "Thank God for dead soldiers. God hates fags. You're going to hell." The Westboro Baptist Church is again protesting in the name of their religion. The Supreme Court recently upheld the group's right to freedom of speech, placed Westboro in the headlines, and tested the boundaries of the First Amendment. Although many dismiss this group as simply despicable fools, the church has proven it knows how to use America's court systems for its own purposes. In order to better understand these newsmakers, we must first look at their beliefs and doctrines. Secondly, analyze the organization and funding. And finally, focus on a few famous protests. With official websites labeled GodHatesAmerica.com and GodHatesFags.com, Westboro's message appears to be the exact opposite of the loving God worshipped by many mainstream Christians. The Topeka Church has no connection to the Baptist denomination and preaches eternal hellfire and damnation to all sinners except a chosen few. The founder of the Westboro Church, Fred Phelps Sr., loosely based his organization on the teachings of John Calvin, a Reformed theologian of the 16th century. According to B.A. Robinson of the Ontario Consultants on Religious Tolerance, the Calvinists believe in only an elite group of people will be allowed into heaven. All others are doomed to hell, regardless of what they do. The message of the church often reflects the belief about the fate of America based upon its own sins. Although much of Westboro protests are focused upon homosexuality, Jews, blacks, Catholics are also targets of the group's attacks. Both the Anti-Defamation League and the Southern Poverty Law Center list Westboro as a hate group. The church justifies their disruptions at military funerals with the following reasoning. The United States allows homosexuals to live in the country. Military personnel are following the orders of the U.S. government. Therefore, the death of military men and women is God's way of punishing the U.S. for not being a country that is obedient of God's commands. After its Supreme Court victory, the publicity-seeking group became even more pointed in their criticism of the U.S. military. In a recent Fox News interview, Westboro's lead lawyer, Margie Phelps, said, quote, "There is not an ounce of nobility in the United States military. If you fear God, you won't put that uniform on." End quote. Who exactly are the Westboro Baptists? They could be easily dismissed as kooks from Kansas. However, a bit of research reveals a close-knit organization of financially stable, well-educated lawyers who know exactly how to manipulate America's legal system. Fred Phelps organized the church in Topeka in 1955. According to Life magazine, almost 70 church members are either children, grandchildren, or relatives of the founder. 11 of Phelps's 13 children are lawyers. Phelps himself was a civil rights lawyer, but has since been disbarred. Lawsuits are large civil judgments are key parts of Phelps's church and its livelihood. The fact that the group has a tax-exempt status as a religious organization also helps its finances. The Phelps family has collected money both in and out of court, according to the Associated Press. Last summer, the city of Bellevue, Nebraska paid $17,000 to settle the flag desecration suit. The father of the slain Marine who brought the case to the Supreme Court and recently lost may also be forced to pay the group $100,000 in attorney fees. These are just two examples of the financial settlements collected by the church. According to one of Westboro's websites, the church participated in 41,000 protests in 650 cities from 1991 to 2009. Westboro members estimate that the church spends $250,000 a year on picketing alone. The first organized protest of the Phelps group was held in Topeka itself, in a park near Westboro Church in 1991. Phelps and his followers demonstrated against homosexuals after a gay man in the park supposedly approached one of Phelps's grandchildren. The group gained national spotlight in 1999 when a group marched upon the funeral of Matthew Shepard, a young gay man who was murdered in Wyoming. They continue to picket the memory of this murder victim by scheduling protests at the productions of The Laramie Project, a play based upon his story. The Westboro protesters followed the news with signs in tow. They were at Pope Benedict XVI's 2008 appearance at Yankee Stadium. They were also at Elizabeth Edwards' funeral only a few months ago. Westboro's free speech remains free, no matter how offensive or seemingly irrational, thanks to the Supreme Court ruling. The group's belief, organization, and protest strategies will undoubtedly continue to make headlines for the foreseeable future.